Hello there, 2-Minute Mover. So happy to have you here with us. I'm Lizzie Williamson, and next to me is someone who chances are you would have read something she has written, because she writes for the biggest names in international publishing. She's been editors for amazing magazines like Collective Hub. Today she launches her second book, and it's such an amazing book, and we're going to talk about that soon. But before I introduce you, I also wanted to say that when you read something that this woman has written, there's something about it, whether or not she shares someone else's stories, one of the many people that she has interviewed over the last decade, or shares her own stories and lessons that she's learnt from her own life, like when she had anorexia as a teenager or became a widow when she was 23. She writes in this way that is so readable, so real and inspiring. Amy Molloy.
What an introduction!
Thank you for having me over.
Oh, thank you for coming down here.
This show, 2-Minute Moves TV, is all about inspiring you to get your precious body moving more and busting through the excuses that get in your way of doing it. So I'm so excited to talk to you, Amy, about how you make exercise a part of this big, full life of yours, how you do it, why you do it, if you ever struggle with it in any way, or if you feel like you sort of see why lots of other people struggle with it. And then we are going to do the first ever pre-natal 2-Minute Move live on Facebook.
Yeah, not just a little bit chubby.
Yeah.
35 weeks pregnant now, so we're on the home stretch.
Amazing.
Hopefully my waters don't break halfway through our 2-minute move.
Oh, hopefully they do. live home birth. This book of Amy's, her other baby, The World is a Nice Place. It's such a wonderful way that you have shared these ideas and these tangible tools of how we can overcome adversity, how we can move forward from these really difficult times in our life, and do it in this really practical way, and yet also this really joyful way as well. And in this book, you mention times where you are, moving your body, like the story of when you were in labor with your first baby and you channel your inner ballerina and dance around the house.
Yeah, we were literally, me and my husband, we were walking up and down the beach. My contractions were 5 minutes apart. My mum was on the phone in the UK saying, "You going to the hospital?" And we were strolling up and down the beach. We were dancing outside on the balcony. It was this most amazing, sensual, natural, flowing thing that happened.
Wow.
It was really proved to me how movement and connecting with your body can help you through difficult, challenging times, even labour.
Yes, yeah. I mean, certainly exercise is something that has helped me so much through challenging times. I actually want to have another baby so I can try that dancing around in labour. I didn't think to do that. So when it comes to exercise, what do you think about it?
Well, it was interesting because I knew you were coming to talk to me about this, and we were going to talk about how exercise helps you in challenging times. So it really made me think about how I've used exercise in the past, and really get honest with myself about the times that I've thought exercise had been helping me, but it hasn't been. And then how I've come to a place where exercise now is helping me, I think. So in the book I talk about, especially coming out of anorexia and having a perfectionist mentality. Then after my husband died, I became a marathon runner, and a very proud marathon runner. Like, I would tell everybody how much I ran every week. I ran a minimum of 10k a day through rain, shine, hail, injury, illness. Like, at one point I remember I used to do a spin class, run out the spin class, run a half marathon, back into the spin class, and do a second spin class, all before 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And at the time, I thought that was my coping mechanism, and I thought it was empowering me. And I thought I couldn't possibly survive my grief without it. But in hindsight, it was just exhausting me. I didn't have periods, I was super skinny, I wasn't eating enough to support that kind of exercise. I was using exercise to punish myself. And I thought it was empowering me, but actually it was restricting me in a whole different way. And I actually was sent to India on a press trip to review an ashram quite a fancy ashram. Not like, you know, it's a luxury ashram. And this beautiful little monk who was teaching me, I'd never done yoga before, he said to me, you have to stop running. Just stop running today. And it absolutely terrified me, the thought of having to stop running. But I slowly did. And like I'm a runner now. I ran this morning. I ran for 20 minutes this morning and I loved it and I felt great doing it. But I had to readdress the way I was looking at that hobby and looking at exercise, and really getting honest and asking myself, is this making me feel good? Is this actually supporting me and empowering me, or is it draining me and exhausting me? And am I using it as a way of punishing myself? And I have an incredible life coach who taught me the most powerful and simple tool, which is to ask yourself every single day, what do I need to do to feel good right now? And really get honest with the answer. And someday it might be going into the gym and lifting weights and having a hardcore workout, and someday it might be walking on the beach or dancing around your living room or doing something much gentle. But I think once I began to ask myself, what do I need to do to feel good right now, rather than following this regimental schedule that I made myself do, then it changed everything for me.
What do I need to do to feel good today?
Yeah.
How beautiful is that?
Yeah, so it's been, I think my relationship to exercise has been constantly changing and has become gentler as I've got older, and much, like I've got a whole chapter on the book about not living someone else's routine and not just doing something because, you know, magazine's telling you to do it, or your role model is telling you to do it, or you think you should do it. Really connecting with yourself and asking yourself honestly what makes you feel good. And for me, like right now in my life, it's a lot of hiking, a lot of getting outdoors, a lot of gentle yoga at home, because I've got a 1.5-year-old, so I can't get to a yoga class like I used to, and I've had to get to a space where I'm accepting and happy with that. And so I think, yeah, letting your exercise evolve with your life, super important.
So going from where you were then, you know, marathon, spin class, you know, and to now, did you feel like, was that this daily work of asking yourself that? Did you feel like, and you had the, you know, the India experience as well, was it quite a gradual thing?
Oh, it was gradual. So I came back from India and I thought, okay, I'm not going to run, I'm going to take up yoga and that will answer my prayers. And then I became obsessed with Bikram yoga. And I did 2 Bikram classes a day, like literally not what the lovely little monk was telling me to do at all. And yeah, there's more self-punishment really. And again, you know, on paper, it was ticking in the boxes of health and fitness. I was living on green smoothies and salads and Bikram, and everything should have been wonderful. But and for some people, that really does make them shine. But for me, it was draining me to this point where I was just kind of a shell of a person. And at the time, I wasn't in a good place. I was dealing with grief. I was gone into a relationship that wasn't supporting me. Wasn't very happy in my career. And it was all kind of covering layers and layers of covering up what was actually going on for me. And a lot of people who've had eating disorders struggle with this perfectionist mentality and go from anorexia to orthorexia, which is when you kind of obsessively try and be healthy and transfer your addiction on something like exercise, which you have to be super careful of. And actually in the book I talk about how another big milestone for me was I did regression, which took me back to my childhood self. And I actually went back to when I was a gymnast as a child, and I saw myself as a little girl standing in my old gymnastics studio, and my childhood self said to me, I've got to give up gymnastics because I'm not good enough. And so, someone's just arrived with flowers.
We're just here live.
Sorry.
That's right.
I'll get them for you. This is Amy here.
Thank you.
Can I just get you to initial it for me?
Can I initial it for you?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
doing a little show there. Okay.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, here we go.
This always happens. Flowers just arrive in my house.
there.
So anyway, so I went back and saw myself as a gymnast, as a little 7-year-old gymnast, and I heard myself say, I have to give up because I'm not good enough. I have to give up because I can't do it. And part of my childhood regression therapy was going back to a younger version of myself and saying, you are good enough, you should just play. Because I did do gymnastics when I was younger, and I was good at it, and then I got to that pre-puberty stage of getting boobs and getting a bit of a booty and not being quite as good anymore. And at that point, I quit because I said I'm not good enough, and I didn't just see the fun and joy of doing gymnastics. I wanted to be the best, and so I couldn't be the best, so I quit. So I went through this beautiful regression therapy where I had to go back and collect my younger self. I highly recommend it to everybody. And just kind of forgive myself and say you don't have to be the best at something to do it. You know, you don't have to be a marathon runner to run. You don't have to be the person in a yoga class who can do the splits and do a one-handed handstand to practice. Like, there is another way of exercising. So it's a long road for me. I'm still on it. You know, 8 months pregnant, and today at the gym I'm doing run walk on the treadmill, and that little voice at the back of my mind is saying that person next to you is running at a higher speed than you, she's not walking in between her reps. But you know, you have to constantly check in on yourself, and I'll probably be doing it forever because I don't think an eating disorder or anything like that ever quite leaves you. But I consciously work at it all the time, and 99% of the time I'm on top of it. So I'm happy about that.
And how's your relationship with your body now?
Good question. I love it. I truly never thought I'd get to the stage where I said I love my body.
Oh, goosebumps.
I know. Honestly, if I could go back to my 17-year-old self who despised herself, and I never saw a way out of my eating disorder. Like, I was at the stage where the only day I would eat solid food was a Sunday, and the other 6 days of the week I lived on energy drinks and packets of raisins, and I could not see a way out. But yeah, I'm honestly sitting here, 33 years old, pregnant with my second baby. Like I said, it's been a long road and a lot of work, and I cover a lot of it in my book. But I am and I think having a baby changes your attitude to your body. It's a bit of a cliche, but we were lucky enough to have a wonderful natural birth, and I think when you see the power of what your body can do when left to its own devices, and we were saying when you step out of your own way and let your body do its natural thing, you have to have a different kind of respect for yourself after that. So, you know, now I'm pregnant, I definitely have days when I will say to my husband, oh my God, like, what is this? What are these thighs? But most of the time, I just think it's incredible.
Oh, wow. Can you, that line that your mum says in the book, could you share that with us?
Yeah, so I'm very lucky that I come from I'm very lucky that I come from a family with a history of mental illness, which is a weird thing to say. But because mental illness runs in my family, especially the women, I also come from a family who are very open about communication and the sort of emotional self-care tools that you need to overcome adversity. So when I had an eating disorder, my parents really struggled, and I really struggled to connect to them. It was a really difficult time for us. However, within all that, my mum was able to have this amazing insight that she said to me, if you could take that determination and willpower and strength that you're using to starve yourself and channel that into something good, then you could change the world. And she was right. You know, I was literally surviving most of the week without any solid food, whilst studying at art college, whilst training and doing exercise, and I was able to do that because of this incredible willpower I was tapping into. And since then I've learned to channel that into different things, you know, my career in a gentle way, being devoted to my husband, you know, overcoming infertility because I didn't have a period for 7 years in the midst of this, and I've been able to use that dedication and devotion I used to use to starve myself into these other incredible pursuits instead.
It's so inspiring. I think when you are in that situation, in the midst, and you talk about this so beautifully in the book, when you're in the midst of the really difficult, challenging time and you feel like there's actually no way out, there's just no way, and now to kind of look at you here now with all the things that you have learned, all these tools that you now have that you can share with everyone else, just so inspiring for anyone who is in that kind of moment, in those difficult situations, whatever it is, to be able to look at that and go, yeah, if I take these steps, then I'm going to be okay.
And it's really like, you don't have to have an eating disorder or anything like that. Like I talk in the book, it's career setbacks, it's relationship difficulties, it's those everyday struggles that can bring us to our knees. Someone sends you a critical email and you can get frozen and obsessed on that for weeks and months, and a relationship breaks down, and that can then affect you for decades. Like I've met people, I know people who are in their 70s and 80s and still just frozen in an event that happened in their 20s, and I was determined not to let that happen to me. And through researching the book, I met amazing people who, tsunami survivors and 9/11 rescue workers, and parents whose children committed suicide. I met an amazing woman whose son committed suicide as a teenager. And yet, despite their tragedies, they were able to look forward and move forward and believe that the world is a nice place afterwards. So that's kind of my message and what I live by, that no matter what happens, that doesn't have to be the full stop on your life. Like, there is more ahead of you. And that was true for me with an eating disorder, and true for me being widowed, and many other things that have happened to me that I go into in the book. And that's true for everybody else, no matter what kind of setback you're facing.
Beautiful. And it's such a great title, by the way.
Yeah, it was originally called something else. It was originally called Problem Child. I know. That was the working title way back. And then I was trying to come up with this, the new title for it. And my husband said to me, why don't you make it your motto? He said to me, I hear you say it every week, every month, the world is a nice place. Whenever you're faced with a crossroad and it could go wrong or could go right, I say it'll be fine, the world's a nice place. And so obvious that's what it should be for me now. I'm so happy I called it that.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. So you talked about exercise used to be something as something that you thought was a coping mechanism, and then you mentioned that you were punishing yourself in a way. What is it for you now? How does it help you now? What does it mean to you, exercise, movement?
Yeah, I think it's supportive now, and it's a mark of expression. Rather than being a chore, it's something that allows me to be creative, and as a creative person, that's perfect. I like my exercise to reflect that. And sometimes that is a lovely, flowy, beautiful yoga class. But like I said, this morning I was in the gym on the treadmill, but at the same time I was listening to a Gabrielle Bernstein podcast. And so I was kind of balancing that masculine energy of like running with this beautiful feminine energy of learning and evolving and healing through the podcast I was listening to at the same time. And so I think that's what I'm always conscious of, is not forcing exercise, letting it be something that nurtures me rather than pushes me to my edge. And I still, my husband and I climbed a mountain at the weekend at 8 months pregnant. Like, I still push myself, but I think it's just in a much gentler way. My life coach always says, gently try hard. That's what you need to do, gently try hard all the time. And I think that comes with exercise as well. And with this pregnancy, people are asking me, how long are you going to keep exercising? And I will keep exercising whilst it feels good. And right now it feels great, and so I'll keep going.
Oh, I love it.
Might be the day I give birth, we'll see. Hopefully.
Oh, well, it sounds like as you give birth, you move. I mean, I just love that vision of you, of the ballerina when you're in labour. So we're going to do a few ballerina moves here at at the kitchen bench, and I love doing some moves here because as a mum we're often here, like a lot, and the idea of even if you can't get out of the house on those days, or if you're here cooking something, blending a smoothie, putting the kettle on, making some school lunches, whatever it is, that there's some beautiful little moves that you can do to still do what you described, to still find that flow, to open up your body, to still get that feeling of strength and connection to yourself. So we might try doing a couple of those. Now, as I run out and zoom this camera out, and we'll get our nice little setup there. Is there anything more beautiful than a pregnant woman? I don't know.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. It's so good. So what we're going to start with is some pliés.
Okay.
Do you know them?
Maybe.
Okay. So
Maybe
you
not
start with your
well.
legs turned out, and you're just going to bend your knees and take your arms to the side. I'll look at you. And that is it. Beautiful. So down. So you want to find that connection of your feet into the floor. So you, like you do in yoga, you know, when you feel your toes into the floor, the heels in there. And when I was a dancer and I had a Russian ballet teacher, and you were only allowed to do one of these pliés and you had to be sweating, but otherwise you get a bit of a whack. So the idea of these are actually work really strongly into your glutes, or start working into your thighs, and you also just get this nice, slow, gentle type of thing, rather than necessarily always having to do the big squats or anything like that. Okay, now what you're going to do is take this foot to the front. Another bend. Sorry, you're going to stay that way. So take it to the front there. And do a little plie that way, and then just lift it up like that. Oh, look at you, down and lift. That looks so beautiful. And up, and so you point that toe in there. Turn those feet out. Beautiful.
Gymnast toes.
The gymnast toes. So you drop, and then feel the energy lifting you up there, and drop through your shoulder. Oh, I'd love to see some of your gymnast moves. Is that why the hula hoop's over there?
We have gymnast hoops out on the balcony.
And now that for you, stay where you are. You're going to take it out there. And can you do a little bend there? Do you feel alright doing that? And then float over that away. So bend it there and just float, and take that leg up or leave it on the floor, whatever you like the feeling of. Over you go, and you get this beautiful stretch out through the side of your body there. Such a gorgeous way to move. And you want to have that nice scoop under of your tailbone there to make sure your spine's all protected. Beautiful. Let's go back to our pliés now. Ready? Plie and So what are you quite excited about that's coming up for you?
Oh, just sharing my book. It's been a year in the making. Well, 10 years in the making, but a year in the writing. So I'm just happy to be able to talk about it now. Actually. And then this baby. So hopefully my plan is...
Bring the other leg forward now. The other one. And step forward there. And then you can just bring the same arm up there. Oh, beautiful.
So my plan is to write the next book shortly after birthing this little boy.
Wow.
We'll see how that works out. The best laid plans and everything. Beautiful.
And then just step out, and you can just take a bend over there. That's it, that one. Bend there. And then just bring that leg and reach over there. Beautiful. You don't even need your bench for that one. What was your favourite gymnastics move?
Oh, the handstand girl.
Oh, that's like my daughter.
And actually, me and my husband, we started doing adult gymnastics about a year ago. We started going again, and it's just wonderful. Oh, wow. Just to play. It was amazing.
Beautiful. And that's your last one. There we go. Amy Molloy, thank you so much for sharing all this wisdom. And I love what you talked about. Just doing the little bits of work every single day, just what you're saying to yourself, what you're asking yourself, checking in with yourself, and it certainly is not something that happens straight away, does it? It's just all those little steps, and that's what I love about exercise as well, and taking these little moments if you need to, because they all really count. Everything that you take to give back to yourself does make a big difference, doesn't it?
Especially your mental health, like I talk in the book. They're really 1 minute exercises, one sentence you say, one little quick mindset flip, consistently every day, that's what makes a difference.
Yeah, so good. Thank you so much, you beautiful woman. And yeah, this is the book. I'll make sure all the links are there. The World is a Nice Place. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. And where can you get it?
Amazon, Booktopia, all good bookstores, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, great to go into your local bookstore as well, isn't it? And if they don't have it, to make sure they order it in. That's what I did yesterday.
I'm a big advocate of little bookstores, so go in there, check with them. Hopefully they'll have it, and if not, they'll be able to get it.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, so great to have you here with us, and yeah, lots of love. Bye. I'll just run out now.